Rip the bandage off. What you were sold about loyalty is a lie that bankrupts men of their trust and dignity. You were taught a simple trade: give everything, expect forever. That lesson sits in lullabies and Sunday stories, in old advice from men who never faced a collapse. It promised shelter in the storm and a hand to hold when the world turned cold. So you invested time, money, honor, the best parts of yourself, believing commitment was a mutual anchor. Then life happened. Jobs ended. Confidence cracked. Health wavered. Dreams derailed. The test arrived in everyday failure. Betrayal doesn't arrive as thunder. It comes in small silences, in delayed texts, in meetings skipped and apologies that never circle back. It is absence by degrees. One day she's your partner. The next day she's a stranger with a memory of you. You replay the good times for a hidden sign, a single flicker that explains why she left. There isn't one betrayal. There is slow math. When you stop adding to her life as she expects, your value declines. This is not a character assassination of women. It's a diagnosis of modern attachments. Many relationships are designed around ease and elevation. They hinge on what you provide: status, comfort, excitement, not on the messy work of walking through decay together. When discomfort arrives, so does instinct. Some people choose to repair. Others choose to run toward the next promise of sunshine. Neither choice makes them monsters. It makes the terms of the connection clear. You learn declarations are noise without pressure-proof actions. Sweet words headline stories and vanish in crises. Loyalty shows itself during system failures. The real question: do they love your decline? Will they show up when you look like less? Will they stay when you are inconvenient? Those tests are rarely taught. There's an ugly truth: people generally stay for benefit. It hurts, but it frees you. Stop mistaking presence for promise. Stop treating compliments like covenants. Watch for consistency where it counts, not in grand gestures but in ugly days when there is nothing to gain. Consistency is meals made, silence held, calls answered at 2 a.m., and judgment traded for support. It is the boring, steady work that proves devotion. So what do you do with the knowledge? Stop handing your future to untested allies. Stop trusting vows set in sun without seeing who stands in rain. Harden to protect, not punish. Build a life where absence doesn't annihilate you. Cultivate a core intact when applause fades. Not coldness, disciplined love. Invest wisely, love deliberately, reserve your depths for those who prove endurance. Losing someone who can't carry your fall is mercy, not defeat. Their exit removes a dependent variable. Use the gap to rebuild a fortress of standards. Let emptiness teach survival. Let silence sharpen priorities. The man who survives collapse without surrendering his soul never needed a shelter pretending to be loyalty. Test quietly, not cruelly. Let time and hardship reveal who remains. When someone proves they will stand in the mire and shoulder dirt with you, open the gates. Until then, protect the kingdom of your heart. Stop romanticizing loyalty. Many relationships run like ledgers. You give, she receives. You perform, she applauds. When the stockpile of benefits shrinks, attention follows the higher balance. This is blunt, amoral economics, not evil. People prioritize what improves their lives. When your contributions decline, your seat at the table shrinks. Think in terms of value exchange. Status, comfort, affirmation, access, those are currencies. Notice who spends and who deposits. Some partners are investors. They back your growth and accept the risk of downturns. Others are consumers. They enjoy the yield and move on when dividends stop. Knowing which is which changes how you allocate your trust. The transactional shape of modern romance is fueled by options. Apps and networks create a market. Choice increases expectations. Why tolerate friction when alternatives beckon? When replacement feels simple, commitment requires harder work. That truth flips the script. Consistency is rare because constant choice makes loyalty optional. Do not confuse kindness for contract. Grand gestures and glossy posts are signals, not guarantees. Public praise is cheap. Private constancy costs sweat. Watch for patterns in quiet moments. Does she support your boring grind or only your highlight reel? Does she assist when outcomes look bleak or only celebrate when they gleam? Those distinctions reveal whether love is reciprocal or conditional. There is a moral calculus at play, risk versus reward. People calculate without announcing it. The more you represent safety, the more patience you earn. When you appear risky, tolerance evaporates. That's survival psychology, not moral failing. The problem is we teach men to confuse being generous with being guaranteed. So change the terms. Treat attachment like a business where you keep your dignity as a non-negotiable asset. Invest in relationships that demonstrate through hardship, not only in moments of glory. Make support a requirement, not a hope. Demand actions that align with words. If someone's presence is contingent on your performance, consider that a red flag. Practical tests matter. Introduce small stressors and watch the reaction. Tell the truth about a setback and measure the response. Ask for help with something mundane and see whether it's offered. These are not traps to humiliate, they are filters to protect your future self. The right people prove themselves an inconvenience. This approach is not vindictive. Strategic. It preserves your time, energy, and emotional capital. It reduces the cost of surprises. You will still feel pain when someone leaves. Pain sharpens judgment. It teaches you which contracts were worth signing. Use that clarity to build smarter alliances. Remember, contracts can be honorable. Two people can agree to elevate each other and hold to that bargain. Those partnerships exist, but they require explicit commitments and shared sacrifice. They are built by steady, often unglamorous labor. They accept seasons of loss and plant for future harvests. Seek those arrangements. They are the opposite of fleeting applause. Finally, reclaim your agency. Control the ledger of your life. Stop underwriting others' comforts at the expense of your own foundation. Keep your standards high and your demands concise. Let reciprocity be the rule, not the exception. When you make value exchange your lens, loyalty stops being a ghost story and starts being a measurable choice. Then you can decide who truly belongs in your life. Lean into standards that reward backbone. Keep promises to yourself above promises to others. When the right partner commits through storms, reciprocate fiercely. That's rare currency and worth guarding with everything you've built. You swallowed a fairy tale that made survival look like romance. Screens sold permanence with glossy edits and perfect timing. You loved a montage, not the messy human who lived between scenes. The version she adored was a highlight reel you curated for her eyes. That version had no bills, no doubts, no wobble in the walk. Behind the camera you were allowed to be complicated. Off camera, complication made you a liability. Projection is efficient love. It demands less of the lover and more of the performance. You become the symbol of a life she wants, not the man she chooses. When your real edges show, the fantasy cracks. Reality is not a romantic subplot, it's the main arc. People fall for what a person promises to feel like, not what they will feel like when the script changes. That preference is human and merciless. Affection linked to an image evaporates under pressure. You can see it in how people curate themselves online. They sell potential instead of presence. Potential is a powerful drug. It breeds hope and postpones judgment. But hope rots when seasons change. Expectations built on projection are brittle. They break with one bad month. The irony, you thought transparency would bind you closer. Instead, honesty exposed liability. Vulnerability felt like collapse to an attachment built on projection. She didn't leave because you were less, she left because you were more true. Truth removes fantasy's adhesive. And fantasy was the glue holding that relationship together. This doesn't absolve anyone of responsibility. It clarifies motive. Not every exit is betrayal. Sometimes it's the end of an agreement you never signed. You were performing to maintain a status that only benefited her fantasy. Stop treating her departure as a personal deficiency alone. Treat it as evidence. Evidence informs the next contract you write. If love is to survive, it needs scaffolding that supports failure, not just applause. Design relationships that survive grind and boredom. Ask for proof tied to ordinary days. Measure patience when stakes are low, not only when they're dramatic. Commitment shows itself in chores and quiet nights, not ceremonies. Demand a partner who schedules presence when nothing is trending. Observe reactions when you stop producing moments and start needing help. The rare kind of commitment chooses the man, not the image. That commitment understands growth includes decline. It chooses repair over replacement. You can cultivate that by modeling consistency before you expect it. Be the kind of person whose loyalty isn't performance dependent. When your foundation is steady, projection loses its power. People who came for the highlight will drift away. Their leaving saves you from investing in illusions. Keep the ones who stay through the dull seasons. Those are your real allies. They aren't glamorous, but they survive. Learn to love people for their presence, not for what they make you feel in flash. That lesson is worth the loneliness it costs at first. Practice small reveals deliberately. Watch who tolerates the ordinary and who waits for spectacle. Set boundaries that reward staying, not drama. Teach love the grammar of reliability. Make emotional insurance for yourself so absence doesn't wreck you. Keep your identity outside of applause. When the applause fades, yourself remains. That survival is attractive in its own right. Build a life that requires contribution, not consumption. Then people will choose to belong because belonging requires work, and work proves intention. Let real loyalty be the filter that finally decides who remains forever. Storms arrive without ceremony. 1 minute you're steady, the next everything tilts. Paychecks stop. Confidence thins. Plans unravel. That's the moment truth shows itself, not in speeches but in small behaviors. When pressure lands, people choose comfort over courage more often than you think. Some shrink away because chaos threatens their sense of safety. Others step forward because struggle is the only place real commitment is forged. This split is immediate and unavoidable. Notice how responses change. The encouraging voice that offered advice when times were good now offers quiet distance. Calls go unanswered. Messages become blunt. Presence turns into logistics. That shift is not always spite. Often it is self-preservation. Seeing someone dismantle is terrifying. Not everyone is trained to rebuild alongside another person. Stress exposes roles. Partners who love the idea of you will rearrange their lives to protect their image of stability. Partners who loved you will rearrange their schedules to help you climb back. Don't confuse performing affection with practicing loyalty. One is a broadcast, the other is a tendon tied to action. There is an economy to crisis. Time, empathy, and sacrifice are the currency. They are spent quickly and counted later. If someone is unwilling to invest those things when returns are uncertain, they were never partnered in the first place. That realization hurts, but it is useful. It tells you where to redirect trust. Prepare for reactions that sting. Expect blame, excuses, or silence. People reframe to avoid guilt. They rewrite narratives to justify departure. You will hear reasons that sound righteous. They will tell you they had no choice. Resist internalizing those scripts. Their explanations are their escape routes, not your verdict. This is where leadership matters. When your world crumbles, two movements happen. One toward surrender and one toward construction. Choose to build. Leadership in collapse is not loud. It is steady work. It is making small repairs, setting bowls on the table, returning calls, keeping promises to yourself. It is slow and it is visible if you stop looking for drama. Test loyalty by watching for stamina. Does she show up for the boring tasks? Does she handle the long days without grandstanding? Does she reduce noise rather than add it? Those are the signals that distinguish spectators from teammates. Real partners bring tools, not commentary. Also observe language. Is empathy present, or is pity masquerading as distance? Empathy says, I'm here, let's plan. Pity says, this is too much for me. There's no shame in someone feeling unequipped. But there is clarity in naming it and moving on without anger. Don't mistake absence for failure on your part. Sometimes leaving is about compatibility and capacity, not a moral indictment. People have limits. Knowing that does not erase the hurt, but it should guide your next decisions. Choose companions who pass the work test. Timing matters. People will leave early to avoid later mess. They escape before obligations mount. That cowardice reveals priorities. It shows who values comfort over covenant. Use those departures to clear space for those willing to stay. Finally, reclaim agency. When storms hit, hold your center. Repair the parts only you can repair. Ask for help when you need it. Accept assistance that is real, not performative. Learn to differentiate between those who talk and those who toil. Keep the latter close. The rest are lessons, not losses. Build a life that survives collapse. Cultivate allies who feel like armor, not applause, and stand unshaken. Vulnerability feels like a risk because it is. You open the door, hand over truth, and hope someone walks through it with you. Too often that hope meets silence, averted eyes, and practical exile. You think sharing will stitch you closer. Instead, it can widen the distance. When you reveal your fears, some hear collapse and retreat. They interpret honesty as instability, not courage. Your confession becomes evidence against you. That reaction is brutal but predictable. It exposes the mismatch between what you need and what they can give. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is a demand for reciprocity. It asks someone to enter a small, difficult space and stay. If they can't, you learn fast. Their inability to hold you is information, not shame. Use it to refine who deserves your interior life. The world celebrates boldness and performance. It rarely rewards messy truth. So many learn to package pain into acceptable forms. Polished confessions, measured disclosures, dramatic reveals timed for effect. Those have their place, but they are not the same as steady, ordinary openness. The latter is harder to sustain and easier to reject. Brutal honesty will either build a bridge or reveal a canyon. Both outcomes are useful. If you find a canyon, you stop wasting labor making it a crossing. If you find a bridge, you cross together and build beyond it. Either way, vulnerability becomes a filter. There are practical rules for revealing without losing sovereignty. Start small. Offer a crack before you hand over the house. Watch responses over weeks, not moments. Notice whether words lead to actions. A text becomes a visit, a concern becomes a plan. Words without follow-through are entertainment, not support. Ask for what you need. People can't read maps they don't possess. Say plainly, I need help with this. Sit with me. Make decisions with me. Let others respond to a specific request instead of guessing at compassion. That removes theater and forces clarity. Expect discomfort. Some become defensive when faced with another's fragility. That defensiveness is about them, not you. Don't confuse their reaction with your worth. Keep your center. If someone's response is consistent avoidance, update your assumptions and limit access to your inner life accordingly. Protect your dignity while you reveal. Vulnerability should not mean surrender. Hold standards about how you will be treated when you expose yourself. If someone weaponizes your pain, end the interaction. If someone honors it, reciprocate by guarding their trust. Practice resilience through repetition. The first time you show fracture can feel like failure. Show it again with better filters. Over time you learn to calibrate how much to share and when. That calibration is not cynicism, it's skill building. Teach loyalty by example. Be present for others in their weak moments. Show up without commentary, without fixes, without measuring their usefulness. That trains the people around you to respond differently. People learn from the behavior they receive. Finally, transform hurt into architecture. Use the sting of being dismissed to design relationships with clearer expectations. Keep your circle small and functional. Protect emotional capital like money. Spend it deliberately. Reward those who invest back. Vulnerability should widen your life, not hollow it. When practiced with discernment, it separates spectators from teammates and replaces illusion with dependable presence. That trade-off is the price of deep bonds. Pay it to the ones who prove they'll stay. In the end, trust the ones who remain through the monotonous grind, not the flashy applause always. Pain is a teacher. Let it refine, not deform you. Turn the sting into discipline. Toughen your edges without freezing your heart. Growth requires a thicker skin, not a closed chest. Learn to refuse the victim role. Stand straighter. Speak cleaner. Keep your hurt private and your standards public. You will feel tempted to punish by withdrawing warmth like a weapon. Don't. Withholding becomes a bitter currency that corrodes you more than them. The aim is not vengeance. The aim is preservation. Withdraw access, not affection. Reduce permission to enter the inner rooms, but remain capable of generosity when it is earned. Replace pleading with requirements. Stop explaining yourself to people who trade your presence for perks. Make requests specific and measurable. Ask for help that has a deadline or a deliverable. If someone cannot meet a clear need, treat that like data, not drama. Adjust allocations of trust based on behavior, not promises. Cultivate solitude like training. Time alone rebuilds confidence. Practice decision-making without applause. Learn to enjoy your own company when the crowd leaves. Solitude is not loneliness when it is intentional. It is preparation. Lean into competence. Build skills that tether you to purpose beyond relationship validation. Money, craft, fitness, emotional literacy. Each competency is armor. The better you are at life, the less attractive scarcity becomes. Competence creates a baseline that others must meet to remain close. Be exact with boundaries. Vague limits are playgrounds for manipulation. Say what you will accept and what you will not. Enforce the line with consistency. Every exception erodes the line. Respect for your limits is learned through your refusal to tolerate breaches. Don't confuse guardedness with dishonesty. Transparency is for contracts you trust. For everyone else, keep a reserve. Tell the truth but not the whole map. Protect plans and vulnerabilities until someone demonstrates reliability under pressure. Train your emotions to obey reason, not disappear. It's not about becoming numb. It's about choosing when to react and when to respond. Breathe. Pause. Observe motives, not just actions. Respond to patterns, not a single misstep. Patterns reveal character. Moments reveal mood. Test loyalty without theater. Introduce small inconveniences and track reactions over time. Ask for practical help. Reveal a minor flaw and note if empathy or judgment follows. These low-stakes probes reveal whether someone can carry real burdens. When people fail these tests, let them go with candor. Give the truth, then close the door. No spectacle. No long accusations. State what happened, state the decision, and step away. Silence is a powerful sermon for those who ignored earlier warnings. Keep your social circle tight and functional. Your network should contain allies who can be counted on for labor, counsel, and discretion. Reduce circles that drain energy or demand performance. Energy is finite. Spend it on people who replenish. Forgive strategically. Forgiveness is an act for you, not a recycling pass for irresponsible behavior. Offer mercy when repair is sincere and verifiable. Refuse reconciliation that repeats past harms. Mercy without accountability teaches predators. Finally, make peace with being choosy. Demanding standards is not cruelty. It is a method of survival. When you protect your inner life with clarity and firmness, you attract those willing to build rather than just admire. The result is a smaller tribe, yes, but one that will stand when the earth quakes. That is the point of hardening, not to harden the heart against love, but to make room for the rare and real. And keep growing. Standards are the architecture that keeps your life from collapsing under other people's expectations. If you want loyalty, set the rules first. Don't wait until you're bleeding to create boundaries. Decide now what behavior earns proximity and what behavior costs access. Make specific requirements, not vague wishes. Say the hours you expect, the types of support you need, the basic manners you refuse to tolerate. Clarity prevents manipulation. Ambiguity invites excuses and test your patience until it breaks. Measure kindness by consistency, not by ceremony. Gifts and declarations are loud. Daily presence is quiet. Look for people who show up in ordinary moments. That is where reliability is proven. The festival of attention is cheap. Steady care costs something real. Translate standards into actions. If you require emotional availability, define what that looks like. A weekly check-in, honest conversations, no ghosting for days. If you require shared responsibility, assign tasks and expect follow-through. Make obligations tangible and verifiable. Enforce consequences with calm firmness. Don't shout boundaries, honor them. When someone crosses a line, respond with proportionate action. Remove privileges first. Reduce intimacy. Withhold resources. Do it without spectacle. Discipline is a quiet business. Test early and often. Introduce small pressures and watch who adapts. Ask for help with something practical and note the reaction. Reveal a minor failure and see whether compassion follows. Track these micro moments. Patterns form from repetition. Remember that standards are not punishments. They are filters. They protect your time, dignity, and focus. Standards keep emotional predators out and invite collaborators in. You are not settling for less. You are selecting for what matters. Communicate expectations before you invest too much. People can't meet terms they don't know. Say what you want plainly. If someone resists the terms, treat that resistance as information, not as negotiation to be worn down. Some people won't join your project. Let them leave. Practice reciprocity in demands. If you ask for loyalty, offer it in return. Standards that demand only from you are hypocrisy. Balance makes your rules sustainable. Give security to those who earn it and take it back when it's squandered. Keep your deal simple. Complexity is an opportunity for evasion. 2 or 3 non-negotiables are better than a long contract nobody follows. Stick to essentials: honesty, presence, effort. Let everything else be negotiable after trust is established. Avoid public trials. Don't weaponize rules to shame. Enforce privately, decide privately. Public humiliation never produces real change. It produces resentment and a performance culture where people act for approval instead of integrity. Be willing to walk. The power of a standard lies in your readiness to exit. If your line means nothing, others will cross it again. Walking away reinforces the rulebook. Returning without change erases authority. Keep standards adaptive. Life shifts. What mattered a year ago might be irrelevant now. Review your limits periodically. Update expectations when new evidence demands it. Growth requires flexibility under firmness. Teach by demonstrating. Model the discipline you expect. If you value punctuality, be punctual. If you prize honesty, speak it even when costly. People learn from what you do more than from what you say. Finally, make standards sacred to protect peace. When you hold firm with integrity, you create a life that attracts collaborators who build rather than consume. That life will feel lean at times but true. Let standards be your guardrails. They'll keep you from repeating the same heartbreaks until you learn how to choose better. And keep moving forward. Stop wasting time waiting for someone to prove they exist. Look for the one who comes with tools, not just talk. She's not an event or a mood. She's a steady habit you notice in the background when life goes wrong. Watch for the woman who shows up without a spotlight, who prefers work over validation, who trades drama for solutions. She answers practical questions with practical acts. She brings a plan for the next week, not a pep talk for the hour. Notice who rearranges their life to help you, not to be seen helping you. The real ones know how to hold their own and still carry part of your load. They don't require you to perform to deserve care. You will not recognize her in a crowd of admirers. She isn't the loudest or the flashiest. She is reliable at 3 a.m. and present on a dull Tuesday. Test for grit gently. Ask for help with a small repair. Delegate a boring task. Tell the truth about a minor setback and watch the reaction over days, not minutes. Measure follow-through. Does she call back? Does she arrive? Does she change plans without drama? Value emotional economy. The woman you want spends energy on solutions, not rumination. She reduces panic rather than amplifying it. Observe how she treats others under stress. Compassion that is selective will betray you later. Someone who faces family and strangers with steadiness will likely face you the same way. Choose someone who sets boundaries with grace. If she maintains limits around her time and energy, she will respect yours. Don't mistake romance for fidelity. Candlelit moments are attractions, not maintenance. The exception shows up in the mundane. Shared chores, steady payments, the late call. Look for humility wrapped in competence. Pride hides cracks. Quiet confidence carries tools, not trophies. Cultivate patience to wait for evidence. Reject the rush to label love before it proves durable. Longevity is accumulated through repeat decisions to stay. Rarity is not scarcity to hoard, it is value to honor. When you find someone who will fight beside you, don't test her with endless trials. Trust grows when nurtured, not punished. Give her reasons to stay: reciprocity, stability, and a clear invitation to belong. Reciprocity is a pattern over months and years, not a daily ledger. Communicate needs plainly. Ask for help and accept what is offered without suspicion. Match her practical love with practical returns. Protect the exception. Keep the circle small. Don't expose her to drama or petty social games. Public performance corrodes honest bonds. Stay worthy of her choice. Show up for the small tasks she does. Return effort with consistency. Prove you can build as well as fight. When she falters, offer repair, not rage. Loyalty is tested by how you handle a partner's weakness. Punishment drives rare teammates away. If she leaves after real hardship, accept the lesson and move forward with data, not condemnation. When she stays, make her place permanent. Create rituals, anchor routines, and guard quiet love. Use slow burns as your filter. Introduce minor inconveniences over months to reveal consistent care. Beware elaborate traps. Don't humiliate to prove a point. Instead, create opportunities for partnership and reward the ones who choose work over applause. Those who stay deserve your highest devotion and your fiercest protection. Always stop proving and start verifying. Actions reveal truth, speeches conceal it. If you want reliable love, look for behavior patterns, not promises recited in romantic moments. Introduce small pressures and note responses. Ask for a favor that costs time, not money. Assign an unglamorous chore and see who completes it. These low-risk probes give real data about a person's priorities. Share a disappointment and observe the tone that follows. Does the reply include a plan or just platitudes? Solutions show investment. Sympathy without follow-through is noise. Track replies over days, not in a single text thread. Pull back emotionally for a short stretch and watch who leans in to reconnect. Some people respond to distance with curiosity and care. Others exploit it as permission to check out. That reaction exposes intent more clearly than any long discussion ever will. Introduce a mundane inconvenience, a flat tire, a missed rent split, a late-night call, and record who shows up to help. Dependability appears in the boring details of life. Big romantic gestures are rare and flashy. Steady help repeats itself until it becomes habit. Ask for honest feedback about something small and measure whether the response is supportive or dismissive. People who offer constructive help instead of judgment are the ones who can partner through crisis. Judgment divides. Constructive action binds. Notice whether apologies are paired with change. Words mean little when behaviors remain the same. Genuine repair includes altered habits, concrete steps, and time-bound commitments. If apologies loop without progress, treat them as talk, not transformation. Observe how she speaks about your future when you're not performing. Does she imagine a shared rebuilding, or does she recast stories to justify distancing? A partner who pictures joint recovery is investing in your continuity, not in your current glamour. Watch the company she chooses in hard seasons. Allies become visible when trouble starts. People who remain close to you during decline tend to have tested their own capacity for hardship. Their networks often reveal their likely allegiance. Test patience gradually. Ask for support across several small setbacks rather than one dramatic plea. See who remains consistent across the sequence. Consistency accumulates into trust. Sporadic heroics evaporate when routine demands endurance. Pay attention to follow-through on commitments that have little social reward. Who pays bills on time? Who remembers anniversaries of difficult moments? Who keeps promises when nobody is watching? Those are the indicators that matter most. Look for emotional regulation under pressure. Can she manage fear without weaponizing it? Does she engage problems instead of deflecting them with blame? Emotional steadiness under stress predicts collaborative capacity later. Create opportunities for shared problem-solving rather than unilateral rescue. Present an issue and invite partnership. Cooperative responses indicate teamwork. Lone actors reveal potential mismatch. Guard against tests designed to shame. Your probes must be fair and humane, not traps intended to provoke failure. The goal is clarity, not humiliation. Cruel tests destroy potential allies and breed resentment. When evidence aligns, respond accordingly. Reward consistent helpers with trust and deeper access. Let reciprocity be the reward system. When people prove themselves, increase their role in your life. When they fail, reduce exposure. Keep records mentally, not vindicatively. Use patterns as information, not as fuel for bitterness. Data helps you decide where to invest next. Patterns guide choices, emotions cloud them. Practice patience with real qualifiers: time, repetition, and stakes. Don't crown someone king after a single kind act. Wait for repetition across months. True commitment is an accumulation of small, solid investments. Finally, learn to step away without drama. If the evidence shows they are not built for the long work, leave cleanly. Close the loop with honesty, then rebuild around people whose actions match their words. That's how you stop gambling on promises and start owning relationships that last. This is the final test. When everything has been sifted, only the durable remain. Build a life that does not collapse when people leave. Your foundation should be independent of applause and resistant to absence. Make your mission primary, make relationships supportive. When your core is solid, companionship becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Design a daily practice that serves you first. Routines matter more than promises. Wake up with purpose and return to it even after disappointment. Anchor decisions in long-term vision. Short-term dramas will always try to hijack your energy. Resist them. Protect the work you are called to do. Create rituals that cement commitment. Shared routines are quiet contracts. A weekly check-in and a monthly plan are small binding acts that outlast glamour. Rituals turn intention into habit, and habit turns presence into proof. Guard what you value like capital. Time, attention, and trust are limited assets. Spend them with calculation. Don't underwrite people who habitually withdraw when obligations increase. Preserve reserves for those who invest back. Build multiple pillars of identity. Be a craftsman, a friend, a mentor, a creator. Multiple roles reduce pressure on any relationship to carry your worth. Diversity in purpose stabilizes your emotional economy. Make accountability non-negotiable. Agree on how to handle setbacks before disaster arrives. Contracts might sound clinical, but structure prevents chaos. Outline responsibilities and consequences. Clarity reduces the temptation to rewrite narratives in the heat of pain. Value repair more than drama. When mistakes occur, prioritize action over speech. Say what you will do and then do it. Small, consistent repairs rebuild trust faster than grand gestures. Keep a ledger of improvements, not excuses. Demand mutual labor. Partnerships are co-built. If maintenance is one-sided, end imbalance early. Shared burden measures true partnership. If someone refuses to carry weight in ordinary seasons, they will likely refuse during catastrophe. Recruit a counsel. Trusted friends and mentors are reality checks. Honor advisors who speak truth and withhold applause. Counsel helps you see patterns you cannot perceive inside the story. Use feedback to refine standards and keep ego out of the equation. Celebrate those who choose work over spectacle. Reward consistent allies with trust, access, and meaningful roles. Make room for them in decisions that matter. Loyalty deserves placement, not praise alone. Practice surrender strategically. Let go of relationships that repeatedly fail tests. Exiting is optimization, not defeat. Your time is finite. Prioritize connections that compound value and release those that depreciate your life. Teach longevity by example. Show up when it is inconvenient. Model restraint instead of reaction. Demonstrate that rebuilding is honorable work. People learn how to love by witnessing how you love. Keep your heart spacious but guarded. Avoid closing entirely. Fierce protection and open capacity can coexist. Be available to rarity without allowing transience to erode peace. Aim to be the person others count on during worst hours. Dependability attracts mirrors. Dependability begets dependability. Make legacy the lens for choice. Ask how a person contributes to the life you want to leave. If the answer is vague, don't allow them a seat at the table. When someone proves they will stand in the ruin and pick up tools with you, thank them with action. Make them part of your inner work. Invest time, treasure, and trust. Guard that bond fiercely. Stay relentless, brother. Subscribe for more. Hit the button, join the crew, and learn how to build a life that survives loss and invites the rare loyalty worth keeping.